I mean, they keep saying that the MCU's never going to be the same. Well, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back into another video, and today, we're back with another Marvel review. I'm so excited. You all know how much I love the MCU. You guys know I've done so much stuff revolving around the MCU on this channel. The first thing I will say is if you love the MCU, you like this content, please consider subscribing. It really does mean the absolute world to me, trying to get 2,000 subscribers. Thank you. You all know how much I love the MCU. Y'all know that this not only was one of my most anticipated superhero movies, but this was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. It started in my top 5 this year, and it creeped all the way up to number 3 at the midway point of the year when I did my updated anticipated list. You already know today we're talking, I got the Marvel shirt on, we're doing it, we're talking about Eternals. In Chloe Zhao we trust. I am so excited to talk about this film because this is by far the most divisive film in the MCU. I do not think that there is any ifs, ands, or buts or anything about that. This is by far the most divisive film in the MCU. It's got a rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes. It is getting review bombed on IMDb. It's getting destroyed. Oh, do we have stuff to talk about today? But before we get into it, I want you guys to go down below in the comments. Let me know, what did you think of Eternals? Did you like it? Did you hate it? I know a lot of you went out and saw it last night. Let me know what you thought. And I'm also going to say up top, this is going to be a spoiler-free review. I am going to spoil this on my podcast with the wonderful Jennifer Vega coming out on Wednesday. If you want to hear my full spoiler thoughts, go check out Fanatic Film Review, which is my podcast. But today we're talking about Eternals, and there's a lot to unpack here. I will say, starting off, this is not a perfect film. There are flaws, and the flaws are evident. I will get into them later in the video when I get into my negatives tab, but I want to make it clear that even with all the good I'm going to say, there is also flaws. I do not think this is a perfect movie. I do understand some of the flaws and some of the things that critics are saying. Do I think that it deserves as low as a grade as it got? No, but I digress. We carry on. So they kept hyping up this movie as the MCU is never going to be the same. This is a whole new thing, and it is, in a good way. It is a fresh new take on the MCU. It is the most unique and different MCU movie that we've ever gotten. I know that we love to talk about the cookie cutter MCU origin stories and things like that. This is entirely new. It is fresh. It is vibrant. It is welcome. It really is. I mean, this is a completely new look at the MCU, and I really liked that and enjoyed that is the route that they took. I think that Chloe Zhao, and you guys know I'm a Chloe Zhao stan, but this is not my bias talking. I truly believe this. What Chloe Zhao is able to do here in this film, one, it is a gorgeous film. It is the best shot film, the most beautiful film of the entire MCU, without a doubt. And of course, it's Chloe Zhao, Academy Award-winning director for Nomadland, Chloe Zhao. It's going to be great. But I think the other thing that is done extremely well here is this is a very delicate look at humanity through the eyes of people that are not human. And I know that sounds weird, but it actually kind of works, because a through line throughout this film is humans are able to accomplish such beautiful and amazing things, but they can also destroy and tear each other down. And I think that is very interesting, and a very interesting route to take, looking at humanity in this story particularly. But I think it worked. It latched on. I was attached. I really liked the messages it was trying to tell about the human race and humanity and all of that. And I really liked that. I think that Chloe Zhao in general, with the writing and the directing and all of that, it was incredibly well done and very delicately done. It was done in such a way that was so delicate and pure that it really hit home in the end, and it made the action work. it made a lot of all the standard Marvel stuff that you get. It made it work and pay off in the end because the story was so delicately structured and done. I really, really liked that. The characters are great. I mean, this is a really all-star cast. Obviously, Droog, Makari and Cersei, Gemma Chan, Barry Corrigan. I'm gonna botch that, but let me just. I want to do them their justice. Sorry, give me a sec. Lauren Ridloff, who plays Makari, Barry Keoghan, who plays Droog, and of course the brilliant Gemma Chan as Cersei. I think that they have the best. One, I think they give the best performances. Two, I think they have the best arcs. I do like Angelina Jolie's arc as well. It just didn't stand out for me as much as the others because it was kind of more in the background. But I think that those three characters in particular are the most layered, especially Cersei and Droog. I think that they were so well written and well executed and showed a lot of depth, really, and especially Droog's character. Again, without spoilers, I think his character goes into a lot of depth and really is very interesting. He really poses a lot of very interesting questions to the Eternals. And in the end, without spoiling things, some of those questions and thoughts come to light. And I think that was done incredibly well. I think that those characters were written extremely well. I do have issues with some performances. I think, I'm sorry, ladies, and I'm sorry, Game of Thrones stands. I don't think Richard Madden is that great in this film. I think he has moments where he is good. But I think he was a little stiff. I think he was a little too stoic, brought off a little too much gravitas, and left me with a sour taste in my mouth because I love Richard Madden. I wanted to love it so much, and I was left very lukewarm by his performance. But I think the rest of the performances overall are pretty good. I think Richard Madden is just the one that's a little sus to me. The MCU really will never be the same. And I gotta tiptoe around this because of spoilers, but the cosmic element along with being on Earth, the way that melds, it really, it's going to bring dire consequences to the MCU in the future. That's as much as I can say without spoilers, but I think it was handled extremely well. I really like the direction that it's going, and I am really, really excited to see these characters in the future. This opened a door to a lot. Just like I think Doctor Strange will. Doctor Strange is more the mystical, magical, and multiverse, and the Eternals is more the cosmic. I think that those two movies are going to be the biggest catalysts in Phase 4, pushing the MCU ahead. And I really am looking forward to seeing how that works. This is by far the most mature MCU movie. I think there's a lot of really awesome representation in here. We have our first, I believe this is the first confirmed openly homosexual character, which I think is fantastic. And I think that was a really, really nice element to throw in there. We have our first deaf actor and character in the MCU also in here with Makari. They use sign language throughout, which I thought was awesome. I think that this is an extremely amazing film when it comes to representation for all across the board. I really enjoyed that, and I have to give credit where credit's due for the casting and for just the performances and the way that it was handled, because I think it was handled extremely well. But it's the most mature. I think it shows a lot. I'm not gonna get into details, but there are things that happen. It gets a little steamy, and that's good. That's a good thing, because I think that these characters are mature. They've been here for thousands of years, and they are mature, and they've lived the lives, and I think that it's all extremely, I think it's extremely well executed. Just how they handle it, because they don't go too far that it gets like extremely edgy, but they toe that line, and really it does make this one of the most mature MCU movies that we've seen so far. And everything I'm saying here harkens back to the point I make at the beginning, where this is a completely new look at the MCU that we've never seen before. the way it's tackled, the way it's executed, the themes that are shown, how graphic some stuff can get, how mature an MCU movie can get. We're kind of diving into that a little bit, and I think that's I like the direction that it went there. I really enjoyed it. The score is incredible. It is done by the same gentleman that did the Game of Thrones score. It's awesome. It's one of the best scores we've had in a long time. I do think that a Silvestri score for Endgame is really good, but I think that this is very unique, and it really worked well with the characters. I think the Eternals theme is awesome. I have it on repeat all the time. It's great. But the thing that I love the most, and this is the one that I have to tiptoe around the most, there are stakes in this movie, and that's where I'm gonna leave it. But for real, there are stakes, and the MCU is notorious for having no stakes. There are stakes in this movie. I really like the direction they took, and continue with stakes in the MCU, because it doesn't mean anything if no one can die or no one can be physically harmed. It does not mean anything for these superheroes. If they are gods, they're always going to win. We learned in Infinity War that when the villain wins for once and you see the characters at the lowest of their low, that is a good thing every now and then. The stakes here are great, and I love the direction that they took. Keep it up, Kevin Feige and everyone involved at Marvel. We need more stakes. Do it. But that is it with the good. I mean, there's a lot here to take in. This is a very dense movie. There's a lot going on, and it is a lot to really talk about. Now, I'm very excited to dive deeper into it on my podcast with Jennifer this Wednesday and really pick her brain, and because I want to get thoughts of other people as well. I don't just want to live in my own bubble. I want to hear what other people have to say. I want to watch reviews, read reviews. I've tried to go in with this clean of a slate as possible, but it was hard to avoid stealing stuff on social media and things like that. Which, by the way, if the person that was trying to come at me on social media is watching this video, I am in an industry where social media is vital. I cannot just leave social media for like 12 days to avoid spoilers. Not how it works. So sorry. Don't defend the people that are blatantly posting spoilers before the movie even comes out. They are bad people for that. So stop. The last thing I will say about the good is the post-credit scenes. I think are great. And I'm not going to be one of the people that spoils them for you. I'm not going to. I want you to experience them. The mid-credit scene got a really awesome reaction in the audience. So everyone, I guess, in the world was not spoiled it. When a certain someone shows up and is in this post-credit scene, it got a big reaction. And that was great. I started smiling. I was so happy that everyone had not seen that spoiler. So I'm not going to spoil it for you. We will talk about them in the podcast. I'm looking forward to that. All right, but with the good comes the bad. Like I said, this is not a perfect film at all. It is a very dense film, like I said. There's a lot going on here. It is a very dense story. They are jumping back and forth in time, and at times, it can get a little overwhelming. I think that they had and I don't blame that necessarily on the writing, because they had the very difficult task of introducing 10 characters and giving them character arcs, all 10 of them, while also explaining what the Celestials and the Deviants and the Eternals are and what their place is in the MCU. They had a very tough task here. But with that, still, it was a lot. I was able to understand everything. Nothing got away from me. I think that they did a good enough job at dumbing it down and explaining it for everyone. This is also the first MCU movie to have a crawl at the beginning, which I thought was great. It explained a lot of stuff really quickly, so that we didn't have to worry about learning everything that was going on. I think that's a really great idea and a brilliant thing that they did. But, excuse me, it's 11 o'clock at night when I'm filming this review. I'm doing it for you guys. But it still is a lot. There's no doubt that there is a lot to handle. If you're not as in tune to the MCU as like myself or other people, it may be very overwhelming. So be prepared for that. It's a lot of material to cover in 2.5 hours. I don't even think 2.5 hours was enough time. It just was a lot. And I do understand that critique by critics. It's a lot. It's very dense. There's a lot going on. It's very overwhelming at times. And even with it a lot going on, it does suffer from a lack of pace for me. I think I did have a little bit of a pacing issue with it. I think it did drag a little bit in the mid half of the film. I don't know. I was like, okay, there's a lot going on here, but also it's going very slow. It's a slow burn, which I usually like slow burns, but in an MCU movie where you're trying to do a lot, I wasn't really a big fan of the pacing overall. And the last thing is there's a twist in the film. Again, not going to spoil it for you guys because I am a respectful film critic that does not spoil things even before the movie comes out, even though the movie's already out. So, not all heroes wear capes, whatever. But there's a twist in the movie. There's a few, actually. But there's a major one, end of the second act, going into the third act, that I did not love. I didn't love the execution. I did not like it. That may just be me being a little bit, angry because of certain things and the way the characters are written, but there's a twist I didn't completely buy. I didn't really love it, and that soiled some things for me. That's all I can say without spoiling it. I didn't buy in to one of the twists. But final thoughts. This is one of the more difficult ones for me to review. I had to take some time to simmer and really sit down and think about it, write down some notes. Thought about it when I was in the car on the car ride home. Really was trying to decompress and really think about how I wanted to talk about this film. It's a lot. There's a lot going on, but in the end, it was given the extremely difficult task of introducing a bunch of characters, a bunch of lore, a bunch of world building and background that we had never seen unless you've read the comics. And I think that overall, it did a well enough job for me to still have enjoyed the time. I think it is a beautifully shot film. It is a beautifully directed film. I think it's got some really great standout performances. I really liked the action. I loved, the team aspect of it, and the themes and values that are thrown throughout here as well are really resounding, especially dealing with humanity and human beings and humankind. But again, it's a lot. And prepare to be overwhelmed because there's a lot of cramming that this film is trying to do, sometimes to its avail, but sometimes also to its fault. So be prepared for that. But in the end, I really truly did enjoy this film for what it was. I had a great time. The theater, it wasn't packed, but we had some fun with it. And I left happy. I left very satisfied. And I do have to say, I think a lot of that is because of the negative that has been coming from it, because it admittedly did lower my expectations a little bit. It's okay, I'm going to go in a little bit cautiously. And I'm kind of glad I did, because then I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I think I might have if I was expecting this to be an Academy Award-winning movie. So, to all the haters, thank you, because I ended up enjoying it more than I think I thought I would. But without further ado, let's get into the point breakdown. 14 out of 15 for entertainment. I was thoroughly entertained throughout. Besides some pacing, I think the action is great. I think it gives you the entertainment value you go in to get with an MCU movie. Performances, 13 out of 15. Some of them are stale. I think the biggest, again, being Richard Madden. Unfortunately, that one really kills me because I really love Richard Madden. Writing, 12 out of 15. This is the one that loses the most points, strictly due to it's very, very crammed. There's a lot going on, and there is some pacing issues as well. I gave direction 10 out of 10. Chloe Zhao is brilliant. She does it again. She is one of the best working directors in Hollywood today. Absolutely incredible. Emotion, 8 out of 10. I really can't get into specifics on why I took 2 points off for emotion. You just got to see the movie to really figure it out. Cinematography, 10 out of 10. By far the most beautifully shot movie in the MCU. Sound, I gave 4 out of 5. I gave the score a 5 out of 5. I think the score is incredible. Pacing, 3 out of 5. 2 points off for pacing. Rewatchability, 5 out of 5. And non-mag, 5 out of 5 points. It means if you did the math, I gave Eternals an 89 out of 100. It's a mid-tier level MCU film for me. And for it to be an 89 out of 100 and be a mid-tier MCU movie, that means the MCU has a great track record of putting out really, really awesome films. I want you to go down below in the comments again. Let me know, what did you think of Eternals? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know why. This is a very divisive film. I'm very interested to see what you guys have to say. No arguing down in the comments. Let's keep it civil. Let's just talk about movies. That's what we're here to do. Check out the podcast on Wednesday. I'm going to leave the link to the feeds Apple and Spotify feeds down below in the description. My good friend Jennifer Vega is going to be joining me. We're going to get into spoilers, talk about the post-credit scenes and all of that. So make sure you settle in and join us. But I want to thank you all so much for watching. Please, if you have not already, consider subscribing. It really does mean the absolute world. I'm trying to get 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It's something I'm really working hard at for you guys. And please, if you are already subscribed, please share the video. And if you are not subscribed, hello, thank you so much for coming and watching the video. Please consider subscribing if you have not already. We got some awesome MCU content coming throughout the rest of the year, as well as other cool movie stuff as well. But I want to thank you all so much for watching. I want you all to have a great rest of your day. Go watch Eternals. It really is a lot of fun, and it is definitely going to change the MCU. It is like nothing we've ever seen, and the MCU truly will never be the same. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next video.